Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook Big Bash podcast, the third of the BBL15 preseason, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. With me today, former Supercoach BBL champion Moeen Thommo Aitken. Thommo, we've gone onto video for the first time on this podcast for BBL15. We've had snippets from videos and podcasts in the past, but never the full show. People be sitting there going, what is this thing coming off Thommo's chin? One of the great beards of all time that wasn't there last time I saw you. How are you?
Good, thanks, Timmy. It's been a little while, but it's always good to jump back on the podcast this time of year when BBL's approaching. Yeah, look, the people's beard, Queensland's people's beard. So
Oh,
hopefully my Supercoach side can look as good as the beard come the pointy end of the season, eh?
you have gone full Queensland with that beard, mate. He's an absolute corker. As a bloke who is flat out in the space of about 12 months putting one hair on my chin, I am just so impressed because that's moved quick. That has grown very quick, mate.
Yeah, I suppose some good genetics, a bit of sunshine, a bit of heat, and the odd bit of a wash, and that's the end result.
Mate, as I said, you're a former Supercoach BBL champion, one of the best to do it. I'd say near the best to do it, except we've got a certain A. Langley who went back to back. So I can't claim that you're better than him, but you do have one title more than most of us out there. You're a cricket lover. You're a New South Welshman living in the sunny skies of Queensland. How you going, mate? You're almost on holidays. The Ashes are starting. What's happening, mate? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Even though it goes around pretty quick, try and keep the eye on the game with a bit of a super coach,
Mm.
with a bit of AFL, NRL, and the new formats that are there. But I think my favourite is always BBL, so it's great to jump on and see if we can start to play on our team and look at a few sides and make a charge up this year, eh?
Well, it's good to have you back for BBL15, mate, beard and all. On today's show, a Cheapie special. We're going to go through Maxi Bryden's rankings of Cheapies for Supercoach BBL15, the bargain buys to start the season with. Our squad previews will continue with the Perth Scorchers and the Sydney Thunder. A reminder, guys, take us on in the SC Playbook Unlimited League for a chance to win $500 in cash. The league code for that one is 621897. And what is in store, just quickly, in case you missed the first two episodes, for SC Playbook for BBL 15, all that same good gear as recent years, plenty of expansions across the season. We've created standalone cricket channels separate from the channel we've used in the past, which also has the NRL content. It's now cricket exclusive on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. So please follow along with those new channels. Tell your mates if they've listened in the past, along with our new content as well, guys. NFL, EPL, NBA, plenty happening at SC Playbook. So we have put these all on new channels. So we're trying to get word out there that if you do support them, to follow along. A subscription package also available for less than $2 per week. That is a third of your daily cup of coffee. It's an absolute bargain to subscribe and see all the things we've got so that I don't have to rabble on about it. Head to scplaybook.com.au and click subscribe in the menu. Thommo, let's get to the all-important cheapies for Supercoach BBL 15. Now, Maxi has defined a cheapie as anyone under $85,000 for this one. He's very passionate about this. And number one on the list is a bloke with the double in round four. And look, we'll get to his side in our previews today, but it is Aaron Hardy with ace at $74,000. For a bloke of his pedigree, he seems an absolute bargain. They're a bit of a new look side this year as well. Averaged 57.5 back in BBL 12, 60 in BBL 13. So, mate, at 74K, he'll bat up the order with a new look bowling attack at the Scorchers. We know that they'll have a few of their strike weapons. Jason Behrendorff, he's gone. AJ Ty has gone unsigned. Lance Morris is injured. He could bowl more as well. He seems a near must-have, doesn't he?
Looks like the obvious. Coming off a poor tournament last year, had a delayed start due to a quad injury or something like that. Never really got going with the bat at all. Didn't put together a monster score. Rarely bowled, like only bowled a handful of overs, if even that. He's been bowling more recently in first class cricket. He looks like a great pickup.
Yeah, been bowling very regularly in the Australian setup, so I'm with you. And we'll get to the Scorchers soon in their exact draw. But despite the no double until round four, The looping schedule is wonderful for the Scorchers for the first 3 rounds. So honestly, lock him in, cash him, and you'll be able to play him as well. He's that good. Ben McDermott, number 2 on this list at $79,000. Now, he's spoken, Maxi, about Tim David, but that I'm not overly that keen on. But Benny McDermott, he's got him batting top 4, probably bat 3. There are a plethora of options there at the Hurricanes and where he does bat, but another one with that dual wicketkeeper bat, starts on the double. They've got 2 doubles in the first 3 rounds. The big one for me probably, and I'm just scrolling down Maxi's list, and I don't know what Matt Wade has done to hurt Maxi Bryden, but Matty Wade's not on the list, and he's about the same price. So for my side personally, I'm sort of tossing up between Wade and McDermott. Nowhere to be seen for Maxi. What are your thoughts on Benny McDermott?
Yeah, there's certainly some interest there with the early double. I guess it'll all just come back, and I'll probably talk about a couple of the other cheapies as we go down his list, but there's a few cheap wicket keepers, and it'll come down to what role and where he's batting. I mean, a few seasons ago, he had an absolutely outstanding season and an outstanding double round that just was out of this world. I'm not quite sure. I think a lot of us aren't quite sure exactly how the Hurricanes are going to line up with that batting order. We know we want players that can, face the most amount of balls up the order, but he's also the type of fella that if he was around that upper middle order during a power surge, or if he gets the right opportunities, he could really take advantage. So, yeah, he's strong on the list with a few other wicket keepers. The wicket keepers, we seem to have a few cheap ones that, depending on how you want to play it, you could go a few different directions. But Benny McDermott, certainly high on the list for one for me.
Yeah, and he'll be highly owned for all the reasons you mentioned, Thommo. But as you said, with 5 games in the first 3 rounds, because he'll be so highly owned, he probably won't hurt you too badly if you own and he doesn't do terrifically. However, if he hits his straps early on, and we know he can hit a ton in the Big Bash in the T20 format, he could hurt you big time as a non-owner. So risk v reward, but I think with 5 games, yeah, he's a pretty safe bet. Jack Wildermuth, 3rd on the list. Maxi is an absolute freaking fanboy of Jack Wildermuth, loves him. I'm pretty sure I started with him last year, and then we were all around him, and he wasn't named in round 1. I'm sure it's Jack Wildermuth up at the Heat. Anyway, why Maxi's so keen on him is the release of Paul Walter, a like-for-like player, and he's seeing that Wildermuth can potentially slot in and play a bit of that role where you sort of bats at 6 or 7, bowls some overs. What are your thoughts on Jack Wildermuth? Could this finally be his year in the Big Bash and in Supercoach?
I was one that was burnt last year. I thought he was going to get a gig because I think, going back from memory, Heat had lots of injuries or lots of people unavailable, and they didn't even pick him. They picked, I think it was Prestwich or someone like that early days. I don't think Wildermuth's been relevant since COVID or even pre-COVID times. So, yeah, not one for me. I don't think he'll be in the best 11.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. And it was Will Prestwich that I was thinking of from last year. I remember starting with him as well. That backfired. Wildermuth was nowhere to be. I think I went Wildermuth to Prestwich when, Wildermuth wasn't named in there. So, look, if he's named or not, they have the double in round 2, the Heat. Just to watch round 1, see what happens, unless we are absolutely short on cheapies to start the season. But the way it's shaping up so far, we're going to have plenty of options. Number 4 on the list, Marley Beardman, mate, at $85,000, and Matt Kelly at $81,000. 2 key Scorchers quicks. I mentioned around the lack of, I shouldn't say lack of quicks at the Scorchers, but the new look pace quartet at the Scorchers this season. Matty Kelly, he's been on the fringe for a while now. He's been killing it in domestic cricket already this summer over in WA. Beardman, Kelly, I suppose they probably both play to start the season. Let's say they do both play. Which one of the two are you going with? Marley Beardman, sort of this upcoming gun in the short format, all formats. Matt Kelly, a bit more tried and tested, a bit more seniority. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It really looks like a changing of the guards with the Scorchers with the bowlers. So I think with that plus the schedule, there's some real Supercoach opportunity there. Price roughly similar. I reckon I probably have to go with the hype man and the young gun. Only ever 2 BBL games, but 188 Supercoach points in your second game. That's very impressive. So young, pacey on the up. And I'm trying to sort of put together the pieces of the BBL jigsaw puzzle this year. I reckon we might see a bit of a change in the guard. We've had some players that have been around for a long, long time. It looks to me, and I could be completely wrong here, but I reckon we can see some of those young up-and-comers have a real tournament. So I'm going to lean on the young fella there. Matt Kelly, he's been around for a long, long time and just been waiting for those opportunities. I don't know if the stats back me up here, but I reckon when he used to sub in years ago, he'd look really good and you'd be like, geez, I've got someone sitting on the bench that's come in and go whack. I reckon in the last couple of years and the few times when he's come in, he's been okay, but he hasn't been as good as he was a few years ago. So still definitely an option, but I'm just going to go with the young fella on the up there.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same, mate. And I'm just seeing if I can get up his stats so far this season. I think he's been killing the Shield, trying to find how he's going. Matty Kelly, not as prominent in the one day cup, but yeah, I think killing Shield this season. But yeah, I'm with you on the up. And so Matty Kelly's been waiting in the wings for a while, but Marley Bibb, and if I do have to choose between the two, there's a world we have both with their looping schedule in that round 4 double, but probably just the one of them to start, mate. Mitch Swepson, $59,000, the big off-season recruit for the Melbourne Stars. Well known to the Australian cricket scene, BBL scene, Supercoach scene. Very, very cheap at 59,000. What do we think on Swepson in terms of, like, is the job security there? Probably is with the Stars. They look like they're lacking a fair bit of depth, and they've got the doubles in round week 3 and week 5, so the draw is there. You can't loop early with Stars players because they play late in the round, but the price is hard to ignore. What are your thoughts?
Very, very cheap for a seasoned veteran, I suppose.
Mm,
I'm on the fence with him. I can definitely see a world where I start with him just because he looks like, well, if the lineup's there, he could be guaranteed
mm,
games and he's very cheap. He's not someone that I can see taking bags and bags of wickets, but he is a wicket taker and can take wickets,
mm.
so that sort of seems a bit contradictory there. But he's someone I'd be on the fence with. It all would just depend about if there's other people that maybe I'm a bit more confident in. But yeah, as you can probably tell by my answer there, really on the fence with Swepson.
Yeah, that'll go down as one of the quotes of the preseason, mate. I uh, I can't see him taking bags of wickets, but he is a wicket taker. So yeah, prophetic from you, Thommo. So we'll circle back to that one in the season review. I think I'll watch early on. He's another one where if we are light on cheapies early, then perhaps slot him in. But I don't know. I'm happy to see it play out. See him locking the spot in the sides. The Stars are so unpredictable. They're just a basket case, mate. And I don't really want to go early on any of their players, barring maybe Tom Curran. I just want to wait and see how it all plays out, what roles they have leading into round 3. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking, as a spinner, would you rather have your Supercoach player be bowling at the Gabba or be bowling on the MCG? What do you think would favour him there?
I don't
Being
think
some being
hmm.
someone that's bowled a lot in Queensland too.
I don't particularly like either, mate, for a leggy. If he was playing across town at the Melbourne Renegades on Marvel, he would be in my team in a heartbeat. But it depends what MCG deck we get, but it can be pretty bloody flat at times. So, I'd probably prefer the Gabba, to be honest. Yourself?
Yeah, I can see a bit of both. I mean, the
Mm.
large MCG, if people are trying to absolutely clear the fences,
Yeah.
'cause Stars have got a total, big ground there. But he's bowled in Queensland for a long time there, and you know, I can just see on the MCG that big wicket. If
Mm.
teams are really having to chase because the Stars have put up some sort of big total, then take a couple of poles there. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, mate. The Kiwi Finn Allen next on this list. He comes in at the price of $85,000. Now, also available in that dual wicketkeeper batting slot too, and I believe he's been relatively limited in his cricket this year. Let me confirm that. But hasn't been playing too much. We'll double check. Perth Scorchers, not likely. He'll open the bat if fit and available. Very prominent, the Scorchers. Our preview won't go for long because they seem to all be cheapies after a rare down year for them last year. What are your thoughts on the Kiwi opener?
He is probably the ultimate rocks or diamonds player, wicketkeeper eligible. He's priced very cheap. There's a couple of games when he went mental last year after struggling at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimate hit and miss because he could go 6-6 or he could just spoon one up or have the stumps rattled first ball. He falls under that category I was sort of referring to earlier about those cheap wicket keepers. Look, depends how you want to play Supercoach. If you're looking for someone with really high upside, and with the potential to loop, he's someone to think about. But if you want to be a bit more safe and consistent, he's the opposite of what you're looking for. So it depends how you want to put your team together there. For me personally, I'll probably be looking at other wicket keepers, but I can see some players, really liking the look of him.
I will look elsewhere early. What I will say is he's another potential stash ahead of the round 4 double that he's a good wicket-keeping loop early in each round. So you'd obviously need a player, a non-playing wicket-keeper to pop up and start with them to be able to loop in the wicket-keeping position. But like the fact that he plays game 1 of round 1 and game 1 of round 2, especially game 1 of round 1, let's say you were to put him in your wicket-keeper slot and then Benny McDermott, and he goes nuts and 100 Supercoach points or something, maybe you can avoid like a Ben McDermott or someone or put them down in batting slot and just change things up a little bit. So I won't be doing it, but I see merit in doing it with his upside and that schedule of the Perth Scorchers, Thommo.
Yeah, and I think, in the first couple of rounds, especially the first round, I think is at home too. So, playing there, for an opener, you can really get off to a quick start at times.
Yeah, I'm looking at my side now and my entire batting lineup a dual bat bowls. So I'm like, if I was going to do it on my current side, I'd have to squeeze him in at the wicketkeeper slot. You probably want a double game wicketkeeper anyway, so I think it'll be tough. Nonetheless, don't put a line straight through him. Mate, in a very similar vein, or similar mould, I should say, but Englishman Joe Clark at $68,000. Big hitting, wicketkeeper bat at the Stars who have that double in round 3 and round 5. He's someone that, he knows the conditions well. He's played in the BBL for a long time, very experienced. I have got him in my side in the backup slot at the moment ahead of those doubles. What are your thoughts on Joe Clark?
And has scored a BBL century. And I think he did well early sort of the season or early round 2. So if you read or if that's something you pay attention to, that's something to worth as well. Look, he's really cheap. Melbourne Stars, they're generally hit and miss and sometimes more miss, but all of a sudden they can get on a run there, and he is an international and on his day can be quite handy. So at his price, I think he's someone worth considering.
Yeah, Hassan Khan at number 9, mate, $79,000. And Maxi's rattled off a few stats in his article here as well, provided, that he gets a good, prominent position at the Renegades. So in the 2025 MLC tournament, he took 12 wickets at a 16.5 strike rate, hit 225 runs at a 187 strike rate. So, mate, if he can get a decent role there at the Renegades, is he someone you'd look at, or without that sort of decent draw for the Renegades, are you looking elsewhere?
I think looking elsewhere, and I'd want to see something in the BBL first before I jumped on.
Agreed. Number 10, Matt Kuhneman, someone who he's currently in my team, somewhat of a placeholder, but with Mitch Swepson leaving the Heat, there's no sort of major competition for that spinning slot, and particularly the overs, because they would run with Kuhneman and Swepson at times last season. Kuhneman, not a big wicket taker, a pretty boring selection, but he is cheap. The role looks assured, and the Heat have the double in round 2. I've got him in there to see what he will do, basically what the landscape looks in round 1 and if there's better options, but it's a boring pick, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's safe, and he has represented for Australia in international T20s. I think you're not going to hope for Supercoach points from wickets. You're going to hope for a couple of really tidy spells and earn your points that way. So he's not the worst, and depending on how lineups fall, he could be a good option for someone. But he's not going to pick up bulk wicket points. You want really tidy bowling.
And the last one, not on the list, but the last one that we'll speak about, I think, mate, someone that I've got in my team at the moment, another one that is kind of like Kuhneman, where he's a bit of a placeholder. I just want to see how assured in the team he is, but it's Nathan McAndrew at just 60K. It depends how they want to go and how many spinners they want to opt for and all round as the Sydney Thunder. But with that round 2 double, there's competition obviously from Wes Agar, from Ryan Hadley, but mate, he is a wicket taker. Every chance that if he does play, he'll bowl at the death. The risk being that if you start with him, he plays round 1, but then he doesn't play a game of the double. Even then, he's still only 60K. What are your thoughts?
I think he's a sneaky one. Look, he's cheap for someone that has bowled overs before and bowled those important death overs before as well, or bowled in surge. can whack a ball, but has never really put it together. The lack of games last year is a big red flag and concern. I don't believe that was injury. I think it was just selection and form. But he's someone I'm keeping half an eye on because, every year there's a couple of cheap ones with a schedule that just have the role and get us off to a flyer. There is a world where it's him. So half an eye for me.
All right, let's have a quick look at Nathan McAndrew and how he's been going domestically this season. So in the One Day Cup, 2 for 48, like it, and 40. That was his last start. So he's starting to hit him. In the Shield, 1 for 50. I don't care about Shield, but he has been batting well. And his other one-day game, 1 for 7. Bloody hell, rained out or something. South Australia, Queensland. No, full game was played. What do we got here? 1 for 7 off 4 overs, economy 1.75. Get in my team. Rolled him for 128. Yeah, don't mind that at all from Nathan McAndrew, mate. There's a few more on this list which I'm going to rattle through. You let me know if you want to talk about any of them. I don't really at this stage. Laurie Evans, number 13 at 81k. Mac Harvey, 14 on the list at 58k. Ollie Davies, our boy, we love him. Won't be starting in my team. 15th on the list at 58k. Will Solzman, 16th on the list at 39k. I believe he's been ruled out with injury. I might be confusing with someone else. 17, Callum Stowe at 77k. Anyone there, mate, or do we move on?
Moving on.
Alrighty, guys. I was absolutely rocked to the core early this year. It was a Monday morning. I woke up to the start of the working week, phone popping off. Just about every single account password that I had been changed. Terrible way to wake up of a Monday morning, I might add. Email was hacked, mobile number stolen, cards changed, anything you can imagine. Sent a ton of threats about financial demands that I had to make or personal information was going to be leaked. I had money stolen, social accounts lost. 6 months later, still trying to get access to a bunch of these accounts. Do not let this happen to you. It is so easily avoidable. NordVPN is here to help you live stress-free. They provide with privacy online, leaving no digital footprint by hiding your IP address. Essentially, you're wearing an invisibility cloak online. A visibility cloak would not do you much good. This one is invisible. Protects your data whilst you're traveling and using public Wi-Fi. NordVPN protects you wherever you are in the world. Premium size cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/SC Playbook. Our link also gives you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. Best thing, there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. So you can also just message me if you want it, and I'll flick it through to you on socials. Guys, do not hesitate. Get this done. You hope it's something you never have to deal with, but it's an awful experience. And as I said, it can be avoided. And I wish I'd known about this and actually done it earlier on in the year. All right, Thommo, Perth Scorchers preview. Their draw this season, they have the double game week in round 4. Initially, you'd sit there and go, all right, not too appealing. But when you do a deeper dive into it and loopholing, guys, go back and listen to the first episode of the season if you're new to Supercoach BBL and loopholing and what it is. We will get an article up on site explaining it all for you, but we did have a good chat about it with Maxie Bryden in the first episode of the season, touching on a lot of the starting points for beginners and different sorts of things. Back to it. The Scorchers play the first game of round 1, the first game of round 2, and the second game of round 3. They have no buys, so the early games make them really relevant for looping purposes leading into that double. I mentioned earlier, Thommo, Morris injured, Behrendorff gone to the Renegades, Ty unsigned. They won't feature. Matty Kelly, Marley Beerman, they're the big winners out of these movements. Pommy David Payne, he does join later in the season and he's one to keep an eye on as well. In terms of their predicted 11 to start the season, what have we got here? Predicted 11, Finn Allen and Mitch Marsh opening the bat, Cooper Connolly at 3, Josh Inglis at 4. Obviously for not so much Marsh at the moment, but Inglis, test squad commitments, whether he has to travel, do these sorts of things. Ashton Turner at 5, Aaron Hardy at 6, but could bat higher up the order potentially. Laurie Evans at 7, Ashton Agar 8, Marley Beerman 9, Jai Richardson 10, Matt Kelly at 11. We'll start at the guns here, mate, and there's a couple of them in this squad. Cooper Connolly lit it up last year, 71.5 averages, dual bat bowl, 188k. Too expensive for me. One I'll be keen on for round 4, but I'm not even considering him at the price.
Yeah, he's a big price, and a little price drop so he can snaffle up for a round four double will be nice. I was an owner for much of last year,
Mm,
and even though he finished up in the total runs, there were lots of innings where I thought he didn't look at his greatest. He sort of hang in there, and then at the end. So even though he finished high up on the runs, I didn't think he was at his best. So if he actually clicks in at his best, that's a pretty scary sort of sight. Um, there's a few pieces with Perth in terms of shuffling the batting order with some people coming back or availability. So I will be interested to see where he ends up. He was batting 3 and 4 last year. I think that probably sticks, but it'd be interesting to see if that really does stay that
mm,
way. He bowled quite a few overs last year. Depending on lineups, he was sort of looked really like that bowler number 5 and guaranteed quite a few overs. And sometimes he was a six bowler, but he still rolled the arm over fairly occasionally. Uh, he only ever picked up 1 wicket in each game, so there might be a little room for improvement there. Um, yeah, he's expensive, but depending on lineup watch, even though he's expensive, I think there is a world where you could have him in because he could be one of the best point scorers for the season.
Interesting. So I'll follow that up, mate, with a few numbers. BBL14 campaign, third on the run scoring charts with 351 runs at an average of 50, a strike rate of 131.46. He took 6 wickets at an economy of 7.41. As you said, left a few out there as well, potentially. So once again, I go back to the draw. If he's doing anything similar to that and a similar role more than anything, he'll be must in round 4. You're thinking there could be a little flyer early on at the price, especially, mate, with the looping opportunities. So you get a sort of bit of a risk-free hit at it. And yeah, the other thing is there are so many good cheapies on this list that I think people are going to have money in the cap. Like, I don't have Glenn Maxwell in my team. I don't have Matt Short in my starting team. I've got money to spend. So maybe, you put it on someone like Cooper Connolly. I'm not going to, but, you warmed me up a little bit.
Yeah, it just comes down to that role. Like if he's batting up the order and really looks like
Mm.
bowling those overs, then he could have one of the best super coach roles in the game. And, yes, he's expensive, but if he had a really fantastic role, perhaps he's actually a little bit underpriced.
All right, one to watch. Jai Richardson, one of the best to do it in Supercoach BBL. 144K, averaged 54.6 last season. He's averaged 54 plus in 6 of his past 7 seasons with a top of 79.7 points per game back in BBL 12. Mate, just as good as they come in Supercoach BBL when you're looking at straight bowlers. Can also hit a big ball, to be fair, at the end of an innings. But with his injury history at the price, it'll be a wait till round 4. And if he gets through that deep, he'll be in my team, but I'm waiting.
An absolute gun on his day, but there are huge injury and there are huge resting risks.
Mm.
And like if you can't throw and you're bowling it in from the outfield, that almost could be a disclaimer not to be in my side these days.
Yeah, it's a big red flag for ever seen one. Mate, Mitchell Marsh, expected to play plenty in this season's BBL, barring a call-up to the Australian team, which I hope he doesn't get because it means we've probably lost the first 2 tests. Marsh, dual bat bowl. He's at a great price of 117. Didn't play last season. You go back, hasn't played essentially since BBL 11. You go back to that, he averaged 106.2 points per game across his 6 games. Comes into it with a recent ton off 52 balls against New Zealand back in October. I mean, if he's only batting with his pedigree, with his form, you could potentially start him, cut price Cooper Connolly in that looping position, bat or bowl. Do we think he bowls raw? Because if he is bowling, gee whiz, he will be hard to ignore.
He will be. I think he did play one game last year, I think. Do you want to have a guess at what he scored in terms of runs or Supercoach average?
Probably 106.
A bit lower than that, I think.
What do you get, mate?
Zero.
You got a
Zero for him.
zero.
I think he did last year, got a zero. He is priced really well. I don't really think he bowls. I think Cooper and Hardy are well and truly in front.
Yeah.
I think we've got to treat him as a batter only. Like his price as a batter only, I mean, it's not outrageous, but I'd love for him to bowl because if he's bowling, even though he's full allotment, he's bowling a few and then opening the batting for them,
Oof.
that looks like a great selection. But yeah, deep down, I don't really think we're seeing him bowling much. He looks to me like the type of fella, a bit like Stornis was for a few years, they can bowl in other tournaments, but bowling in the BBL is down their priority list. So yeah, I'm not sold on the prospect of overs.
Yeah, you're right. He did. He played one game last year for 0 points. So I just saw an average of 0 and I thought, no, can't have played. Mitchy Marsh wouldn't do that. And yeah, I believe he hasn't been bowling recently for Australia. I believe he's sort of shared games as well with Aaron Hardy, who may have bowled in similar fixtures. Need to double check that. Regardless, yeah, I think Hardy's the man. There are so many popular Scorchers. You can't have them all. A watch for me. If there's any news that he might bowl, this will change everything. But I think just to wait till round 4 for me. Mate, we've sort of spoken about a lot of the cheapies already. Finn Allen, Aaron Hardy, Marley Beardman and Matt Kelly. So I don't think we really need to go on about those too much more. So we'll move our attention over to the note. Before we do that, mate, our long-term partners of SC Playbook, Mortgage Choice, Cronulla, Sutherland and Wollongong, they're back on deck for the BBL15 campaign. The big fella, or the little fella in Paddy's case, he's just been nominated in the Advisor Magazine Australian Business Awards for the Best Franchise Brokerage Office of the Year and New Broker of the Year. The double there. If this means nothing to you, it probably will mean nothing to you unless you're in the industry. Just acknowledge the big fella's damn good at what he does. He's good at his job. You'd think this would cost a mozza to get a consultation with him, $129 to be exact, but because you listen to this podcast, it is completely free of charge to see the dual award nominee himself. To get in touch, hit them up on Instagram at mortgage_SCW or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. When you reach out, tell them SC Playbook sent you. Mate, Sydney Thunder, the draw to start the season. They do have the round 2 double. They have no buys this season. Makes them relevant from round 1. Ravi Ashwin was signed, sealed, delivers, and he's gone. Unfortunately, to the tournament, he is injured, a calf strain or something. I don't know. He's not coming, but very, very disappointing. Nick Maddinson has joined the squad. Shadab Khan, he's available for them as well. Sammy Constas is likely to be available as well, pending commitments with the test squad when the tournament does start. Lockie Ferguson, the Kiwi quick, he will join later on in the tournament as well. You'll actually have, you do it every year, mate, but your article for the SC Playbook website around player availability, when players come and go, when they have to go to international commitments, other tournaments. The best part of this year is it's a lot more simple to navigate. There's only a few movements and players coming in late, so that'll be coming shortly. Sydney Thunder predicted lineup for the first game. Constas and Warner opening that. Cam Bancroft at 3, Ollie Davies at 4, Sam Billings at 5, Shadab Khan at 6, Dan Sams at 7, Chris Green at 8, Nathan McAndrew at 9, Tommy Andrews at 10, and Tanveer Sangha at 11. Spinners coming out of the woo-ha, according to Maxie Bryden in his predicted lineup, obviously until Lockie Ferguson comes into the mix. Now, of their players to target, Thommo, who do we like in this lineup? Let's start at the top with Sammy Constas and Davey Warner. They'll both come quite expensive. Dave Warner, in particular, after a big campaign last outing. I'm trying to buy time here as I just X'd out of the window and I don't have the prices in front of me. But Davey Warner was huge. Would you start with either of these two? So Warner is $149,000. Sammy Constas is $101,000. So I beg your pardon. Not too expensive. Any interest there?
I don't think you can go Sammy just with current form and how he's travelling. Well, it's not even current, isn't it? It's going back, unfortunately, for quite a while now. Since Boxing Day, some would even argue, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Warner, potentially, but I think only over a double. I couldn't see me starting with him or taking him over. It'll be a double play only.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate, on both fronts. Davey Warner, round 2, but happy to wait until that time. Daniel Sams. Pardon me. Daniel Sams, $116,000. A statistically down year for the big fella, 44.2 average. He had that awful accident out in the Anfield, shout out to Liverpool, last season, crashed into Cam Bancroft, absolutely awful. If you take that one out of his average, that goes up a fair bit higher. Mate, he's been a Supercoach gun for a long, long time. It was his first time last year, averaging under 52 points per game. Can cop an injury from time to time, we know that. But with the round 2 double, 116K, great role. He's in my team and he won't be going anywhere provided he's fit and named in round 1.
Yeah, he looks like a pretty good selection. He's probably not the player he once was in his heyday, but that is such a lofty standard. I still have faith that he can put up a really high ceiling score on his day, or even over a double round or something like that. Um, his batting, like I reckon there was even a time a few years ago where they batted him up the order at sort of even number 4 for some games. But his batting over the past couple of years just hasn't been quite there. But he's one that you just, on a power surge, batting in the middle lower order, if it all comes off, he could put up a few runs quite quickly. He's always a threat to get wickets, and some people call them junk time wickets or phrase them how you want, but he's always a chance of picking up wickets. So yeah, he'll probably be in my starting side, I'd imagine too.
Yeah, junk time wickets, mate, they hold the key to Supercoach success. They're absolutely glorious. They can be the worst wickets in the game for your bowler, and you're just like, yeah, cool, I got smoked and within half a metre of the boundary on the last ball of the game. But to super coaches, they mean everything. Mate, Shadab Khan, we've seen him have success in the BBL in the past. Looks like he could land a great role at the Sydney Thunder. Good batting opportunities. What Max having about 6 or so. He'll bowl. Another one that I don't think he'd look out of place at 117k in round 1 teams, just in the reserve slot in prep for round 2. I think I'm happy just to wait until round 2, see his exact role and snap him up then at no real major difference. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm pretty keen. Some might remember a couple of editions ago now, he played for the Hurricanes, and I think he was looking really good, but then got a hand injury or something like that, and it came to a close. He was batting at number 4 of them, but he, across his T20 career, across different franchises, has been anywhere from 3 to 7, so interested to see where he slots in for the Sydney Thunder. Batting wise, the Canes, he never really put a big one together, but he is capable of scoring runs. 4 overs of spin at the showground can be a recipe for success. So yeah, I'm pretty keen at this stage.
Yeah, back in BBL 12, he had played 5 games for an average of 61.2, and he's absolutely firing for a period there as well. Back in BBL 11, 3 games for an average of 24, but mate, the class is there, and as you said, he could absolutely take off, and he could be the one that non-owners just scrambling to get into their team very, very quickly. Is there anyone else in this sort of roster? Obviously, Lockie Ferguson doesn't come for a while, like a Tanvir Sanger, a Cameron Bancroft. We've spoken about Ollie Davis. Is there anyone else who you'd consider leading into round 2, or are you happy to play wait and see?
No, I think we've got to give a shout out to Chris Green, who
Mm.
continually gets sort of underrated. 3 scores over 100 last year. So that's the sort of ceiling, that's the sort of point scoring we want. Sydney Thunder batting lineup over recent seasons has been a bit shaky. He's come in, 7, 8, around that sort of mark, but faced more balls than one would expect. He's not the worst with the bat, sort of with his funky shots and flicking it down the field. He's not a big wicket taker, but I think he took a bag when I brought him in last year, so maybe there's
Yeah.
a bit of bias and a bit of love. But yeah, 3 scores over 100. He's not cheap, but he's not ultra expensive. Interesting to see how many spinners they play and the composition of that bowling lineup. But yeah, I think, look, he just deserves a bit of a shout out there.
Yeah, no, fair play. I also had him for said bag of wickets and century in Supercoach last year. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. The only reason I probably didn't mention him is because, yeah, he averaged 56.4 last year. It is that he's $148,000, and there are so many good options at cheaper prices or with probably better pedigree. But you're right, he's consistent. The year before, averaged 43.7. The year before, 50.9. He's very good and one that I'll happy to sit and wait, but around 2, always a fantastic option and reliable Chris Green. Thommo, that will do us for the 3rd episode of the Supercoach BBL preseason. Your first of the BBL15 preseason. Good to have you along, mate, beard and all.
Good to be back, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon, previewing some teams or even doing some mid-round analysis and seeing how we can go this BBL season.
Big summer ahead, mate. As I mentioned earlier, guys, we're on standalone channels that have been created recently for all our social medias, our YouTube, our Spotify, our Apple, all of that. So if you are tuning in, if you got mates who play Supercoach BBL and they've been a part of SC Playbook in the past and followed along, let them know if you're listening. This is where it is now. So subscribe, do all those good things. Enjoy the first Ashes test. More importantly, go the Aussies.